Good morning, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, hi,
Okay.
good morning, Aayush. Good
Yes,
morning.
Morning. Wonderful. Give me a second. All right, guys. A very, very warm welcome to the first session of CIA Part 1. As I promised in the orientation session, this batch has been reduced or has been converted rather to a fast track batch, wherein we will be completing this batch around the first week of April, so that you have an entire month to appear for the exam. Also, you might be knowing that we are entering into a new syllabus from May onwards, right? So if you are planning to appear for May, and from on May onwards, you'll be sitting with the new syllabus. So I would recommend and request all of you that if you are attending this batch and if we are doing this with the old syllabus, as soon as I complete the batch, you don't take too much of time. After the session ends, till the time you schedule your session, your exam. All right. So, maximum time recommended would be around 7 to 10 days after we finish the batch. It is then that you should be scheduling your exams so that, whatever is it you're done in April itself. Having said that, I am Ayush Bajaj. For those who know me, hello guys. For those who do not know me, I am an international corporate trainer for finance and audit certification programs, and I'm also an investment banker running my own consulting firm in India and Dubai. So, so all in all, you are in absolutely safe hands when CIA is concerned and when the financial certifications are concerned. So don't worry about passing. Don't worry about anything. Just have fun along the way. Right, and I would request you to make it an interactive kind of a session. I do not want a session wherein I speak and there is no input from your end. So all through the curriculum, we will be talking a lot. We'll be discussing a lot. We'll be moving into the practical elements and see what happens. What would you do? What is your experience? If you are experienced in internal audit, if you're handling these things day in day out, we'll be also talking about that. All right, please don't mind my throat, guys. I'm just certainly not keeping a bit well. But having said that. Let me have a very, very quick introduction about you and those who are present here. When I say introduction, just give me a very brief about, what is your experience on internal audit. It will help us tailor the session, and I would also know what points to emphasize upon. All right. So we'll start with Shubham.
Hi, Ayush, and hi, everyone. Good morning. So, this is Shivam, and I work in Deloitte from last 2 years. And I have
Okay.
experience of SOX, IEA, IFC, like multiple
Wonderful.
things over there. Yeah, so I'm looking for CIE for my better growth and career.
Wonderful. Welcome, Shubham. All right. Yes, Sharad.
Good morning, Ayush. This is
Morning.
Sharad. I'm working in a bank and in the internal audit department of the bank, the specific field is internal audit of branches,
Okay, branch audit, basically.
branch audits. Yeah.
Wonderful. All right. And what is the overall experience that you have?
Overall experience is 10 plus.
Wonderful. So those who are saying overall experience of, 3 plus, 4 plus, 5 plus, 10 plus. So you and me together are going to take the sessions, all right? So feel free to plug in wherever you think that you've handled this situation, you have handled a similar kind of a situation, and what did you do? What did you see people doing? Right. So it will help us, it will help us everyone to understand the concept well. Wonderful. Okay, Arun.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, guys. Actually, I'm having 25 plus experience. I'm working in L&T as a finance manager, and my passion is towards to see internal auditing. So I thought of doing this course. But basically, I have been internal auditor in my previous company for around 2 years. And basically, as an audit assistant, in my initial career, I worked 3 years. That is my total
Okay.
experience altogether.
Wonderful. So feel free to plug in. So you and me
Yes,
together are going to take the sessions.
sure, sure, sure.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Yes. Somebody called CK. Are you there? CK? Who's CK? Okay. Moving on to Harsh.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Harsh. Basically, I'm a qualified ACCA, and I work for a construction company based in US as a financial analyst. I don't have any work ex of the internal audit, but I want to grow or I want to be into internal audit, so that's why I choose this course.
Okay. So when you say you do not have any experience, Harsh, it might happen that, once we are moving into the, topics, you might feel that, oh, you haven't understood this well. You might be wanting to ask why does it happen and, what is the concept all about. So feel free to stop me if you think that, we are picking up pace and if you think that, you need a little bit more explanation because this session is a combination of experienced people also and freshers into auditor also, right? So feel free to stop me. Please do not feel shy. Don't feel embarrassed. Stop me wherever you think that I'm moving fast or you need a little bit more explanation into the topics.
Okay,
Deal?
sir. And one more thing I just want to ask. I
Yeah,
have the 2024 edition of CIE part for the study material. That works?
yeah. As
Okay.
of now, yes.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to is the R.
Hello all, I'm Isya Pastakia. I have an experience of around 7 years in statutory audit. I have recently shifted to industry in internal audit, just 1 month maybe. So I also don't have experience. So looking forward to get experience and build a career in internal audit.
Welcome. All right. Moving on to Peter.
Hi, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Hi, everyone. Good morning. So I have basically work for a IT company in the HR control system, the compliance department.
Okay.
So I have overall have about 14 years experience all the while. So
Wonderful.
basically, my responsibility involves SOX testing, internal supporting internal audit, as well as education reviews like audit
Okay.
preparedness. Yeah,
Okay, wonderful. So as soon as we reach the controls section, I would be needing your inputs a lot, right?
sure.
When we'll be talking about HR and payroll over
Okay.
there.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Welcome. Yes, Pratik.
Hi, good morning. Yeah, myself Pratik. I have overall experience of 12 years, but into internal audit, I have experience of 5 years. Currently working in a TCI Limited. So I want to
Okay.
grow in this career, so that is why I have joined.
Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. Welcome. Moving
Uh,
on to Seema. So Seema, since you've just joined, I am just asking about, what level of experience do you have and, what is your background? A little bit, very, very quick brief about yourself. Seema, are you there? Okay. Moving on to Sharad. Sharad, you've spoken, right?
Hello. Yeah, we have spoken.
Okay.
Hi,
Okay.
Ayush.
Hello, Seema.
Sorry, I was not able to unmute myself.
No
So
problem.
I have completed my chartered accountancy, working in internal audit and statutory audit department in a chartered accountancy firm. So just wanted to explore more internal audit things and also I am starting with this course.
Okay, wonderful. Welcome. We'll make sure that you become an expert in internal audit by the time we end the batch.
Thank you so much.
All right, moving on to Shivam. Shivam, have we spoken?
No. Good morning,
Okay.
Ayush. Good morning, everyone. So currently, I am working with JK Tire. So I have 2 years of experience in JK Tire. So we do internal audit of regional office area office. We have our offices across all over India. So that kind
Hmm.
of profile. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. Fair. So we on to Shubham. Shubham, have you spoken?
Yeah, we have spoken.
Okay. Moving on to Usha. I can't hear you, Usha. I think you're on mute. You're still on mute. Maybe try another headphones. Can't hear you, Usha. We'll give you some time till the time you sort this out.
Okay, am I audible now?
Yes, you are audible now. Hi,
Yeah.
Usha.
My name is Usha Singh. I work in JP Morgan Chase. I don't have any internal audit per se background, but I work for risk and controls team, quality assurance team in JP Morgan. I have 13 years of experience. So yeah, that's about me.
All
Thank you.
right, good one. Okay, fair. JP Morgan and Chase. All right. Fair. So we'll need your inputs, huh? Moving on to Sujit.
Hey, good morning, Ayush. Good morning, everyone. I'm Sujit. I bring with me around 10 years of experience into internal audit and SOX. I have a mix of
Wonderful.
industry and consulting experience. My previous employers being Infosys, Tech Mahindra, PwC, and currently I am employed with SAP India as part of their global risk and assurance team. I'm one of the members who kind of looks into the internal controls and SOX compliance for SAP. Yeah,
Great.
that's about it, me.
Great. Wonderful. Moving on to Surya.
Hi, my name is Surya. I'm working as internal auditor in a small finance bank, liabilities department for last 2 years. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful, guys. Well, very, very warm welcome to all of you into the batch. Now, you know, what we did and what I started in the previous batch is that,
Hi,
to
sir.
have sorry,
Hi, sir.
anyway.
I just joined now.
CK.
Yeah. Hi, sir. Good morning.
Morning.
Basically, my name is Rajiv. I'm from UAE, working as an internal auditor here for the last 3 years. Anyway, sir, I just joined now because this is 5:40 here. Actually, I was performing my prayer. This is during Ramadan time. That's why
Okay.
expect in all the classes I will be 10-15 minutes will be in the prayer only. Can I
Completely
manage?
understandable. Ramadan Mubarak to you.
Thank you, and same to you, sir.
All right, guys. As far as my background is concerned, I started my career with KPMG Audit, moved to EY in their transactions department, and since 2018, I've been running my own venture, wherein I'm a corporate level international trainer, having my extensively worked in Middle East, having my batches globally. So all in all, you're in safe hands when it comes to again, I reiterate myself when it comes to these certifications. And when what I start doing in the previous batch uh, is that I made a separate WhatsApp group for the current batches, right? So every batch I prefer having a separate WhatsApp group so that whatever material I want to share. If you need to ask some questions, so we keep chit chatting and I keep sharing the materials, the questions, etc., on this WhatsApp group rather than having a centralized one WhatsApp group channel that is currently there. So would you be okay in that setup wherein we have a separate WhatsApp group for this batch?
Yes,
Sure, sir.
comfortable.
Sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely fine.
that would be
Absolutely fine.
better, yeah,
Yep.
in terms of communication. Wonderful.
Yep.
So who will volunteer? Who's going to take that responsibility to create a WhatsApp group? Not me, certainly.
I can try, no
Anyone?
issues. Yeah.
All right, Arun.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. I request all of you to please drop in your numbers over here so that Arun can take a note of those numbers and help us create a WhatsApp group. I'll start with mine.
Great.
That's me, guys. All right. Wonderful. So, moving on. You all know that the curriculum is changing, right? And since there's a lot of confusion as to what is the new curriculum, what are the changes happening, etc., I'll just give you a very, very brief, on a very broad level, that what are these changes, what are the changes with regards to part one, because we are concerned with part one over here. Any which ways, the next batch that you would be entering in, you would be doing it as per the new syllabus only. So, all right, there you go. So these are the changes that would be there. Certainly not applicable to you, not applicable to this batch, because this batch we are doing it basis the old curriculum, which you see on the left-hand side. All right. So currently there are 6 broad topics, right? And in the updated curriculum, we only have 4. Right. So this independence and objectivity, proficiency and due care, QAIP. So instead of these, we just have ethics and professionalism with a greater emphasis on each topics. All right. So you need not worry about this. This is exactly what you are going to read in this set of curriculum as well. So again, I reiterate myself, this is not applicable to you because we are doing this batch as per the old curriculum, and it is highly, highly recommended that after we finish this batch, you take 7 to 10 days at the max and get this done away in April itself. Because if you sit in May, beginning May, the candidates will be required to sit with the updated curriculum. All right, so don't unnecessarily stretch this till May. And also, as we had a wonderful orientation session, I have been requested to convert this batch into a fast track kind of a batch so that we complete this batch by, 1st or 2nd of April at the max, or 6th of April, I think, at the max. So once we are done, you have 3 weeks to appear for the exam. And do not worry, it's very easy. If you do what I ask you, if you go with my recommended approach, it will be very, very easy for you to pass this exam. And it is not difficult to pass this exam. All right. Wonderful, guys. All right. Now, another question that I get is that what if I do not have access to the GLIME curriculum or GLIME portal? It's absolutely fine. For those who do not have access to GLIME portal, you have access to Auditor, right? That's the inbuilt software with VGLD. So if you have access to Auditor, it's absolutely fine. You have a lot of practice questions over there also. Also, so that you guys are not in a problem, what I will be doing is whatever questions that we are handling with the GLIME portal, I will be sharing a document with you, right? So I will be sharing a questionnaire, question bank with you. Don't worry, all those questions are absolutely enough. If you practice all those questions are enough for you to pass the exam. After the session and once the WhatsApp group is made, I will also be sharing these slides. Uh, do you all have access to the digital books? Or if not the digital copies, the hard copies?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No?
No, sir.
No. No.
Okay. So what I will also be doing is I will also be sharing the digital copies of these books so that you have an entire textbook also, you have these sliders also, and I will also be sharing in the WhatsApp group my summarized notes. And how those notes work out, let me just give you a glimpse. Uh, what I've been told is that those notes are very, very helpful when it comes to revision before the exam. And this is how it looks like. I have this habit of creating a lot of flowchart kind of a structure, a lot of mnemonics kind of a structure. So you will also be having the access to these notes. All right. Don't worry about anything. I will give you whatever you need to pass this exam. Only thing that is needed from your end is hard work, right? You take out time from your busy schedule to read what we have covered in the exam, in the session today. You take out time from your busy schedule to practice exam related question. All right. If you do that, there's no stopping you. All right. Okay, so as the structure is concerned, you know that it's a multiple choice exam. Part one, you are required to do 125 questions in 150 minutes. All right, so that's the time limit that you have. You have to appear for 125 questions in one go. All right. So all through the sessions, guys, one more thing, I will be giving you a lot of hacks, a lot of things to stress and emphasize upon with regards to the examination. Make sure you follow them or you at least note them down somewhere. All right. Moving. Foundations of internal audit. All right. Now, can somebody please tell me? I told you that, it's gonna be a very interactive kind of a session. It's not a normal sessions. My sessions are not normal sessions wherein I keep speaking and I go. All right. Since we are all together on this Sunday morning, 7 a.m., my God, you guys are really serious about this. Okay. So make sure that you extract more than 100% out of me. All right. Keep asking questions. All right, my first question to you all, why do you think internal audit is important? I know all of you know that it is important, but why do you think it is important?
Ayush, I would like to
Provide
go.
assurance.
Yes, Sujit, go on.
It basically gives assurance to the management that the internal controls or the internal processes are working fine in terms of which kind of goes and hits the financials at the end of the day. So when you're doing a financial reporting, the management has good assurance on all the internal practices, which eventually leads up to those financials.
Fair, fair, wonderful. Anyone else?
Add value
Add value to what?
to the organizational growth.
To the organizational growth?
Yeah, to have a better
Okay.
control, that GRC
Before
process and all. Yeah.
Great, wonderful.
before reg-
Anyone else?
before regulators come and ask questions, we internally resolve those issues, control issues.
Okay. So if there are any issues with respect to the control, you say before the regulators come, seeking out for you, you tend to resolve them internally. Okay. Anyone else?
To see if any all the processes and policies are working the way they are supposed to.
Okay. So you all are correct. Wonderful. So we know that, and those who are very new to internal audit, guys, we know that, let's say in every company, right? Let's say this is X company, and in every company, there are a set of controls. Do you agree to that?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And if not controls, let's say if not controls, there are a set of systems or procedures in every company with whatever you do, right? There are certain set of systems, there are certain set of procedures, and there are certain level of controls as well. It can be as simple as somebody reviewing your work, or it can be a bit more complicated control, but we do have controls. Okay. Now, with regards to the procedures and systems, let's say, how would management come to know that, what I have designed as a system or a procedure or the controls that are actually being followed or that are sufficient, that are doing the work that we are expecting out of them? How would they come to know? You might want to say that It's okay. Hire somebody or make somebody review those controls. Fair. I give you a situation. The CEO decides to review the controls and say that everything is fine or not. Will you be okay with that scenario?
No.
Why not? He's the CEO or she's the CEO.
He may be the
He
CEO of the
lacks
company.
independence. He lacks independence.
Yeah, sir.
Okay. So you are saying that he may lack independence. Okay. What is the problem? Let's take it, let's make it a bit easier as of now, since there are people who are new to this. What do you think might be the problem? Give me an example of a problem that this might cause.
Sometimes in procurement department, fraud may happen or some mistakes may happen. This kind of things to be fixed by periodical checking.
Fair, fair, fair. So it might happen that the person himself or herself is involved in a fraud. And if you make the person to review the controls, to check the controls, it's useless,
Yeah,
right? The
objectivity,
purpose
sir. Yeah.
won't be solved.
Because he is reviewing his own process and his own team and everything. So it
Yeah,
should be some from another one, independent
right.
one.
So that means there should be, please pardon me for this, there should be someone else to come on board as the auditors or as the internal auditor, let's say, who will have no conflict of interest with the company, who might be a separate individual, who might be an independent person. We'll talk about independence in a little while. That who's not related to this company in any way, or who doesn't have a financial interest in this company. So this person will be in a position to review, or let's say to evaluate your current systems and processes, to evaluate the controls. And if this person feels that, it might be made better, or it could be made better, the person would be recommending improvements. Do you agree with this?
Yes, sir.
Right? So what you will be having in your mind all through part one and part two is that as an internal auditor, you just have to do two things. It's very simple. Your work is very simple. You just have to do two things. You have to evaluate something, and you have to improve something. And that is your hack for this type of a question. When the question says, what is your roles and responsibilities as the internal auditor? You have to look for the keywords, evaluate or and improve, right? So that's just little two things that you have to do. You have to evaluate something and you have to improve something. And how will you improve something? By recommending improvements. All right. Now, very good. My next question to you all is, you all said that there are a system of controls. You all said that the company has a lot of controls in place. Give me one example of an internal control.
The
Payroll
maker
system is
checker
a control,
control,
sir.
which is there while posting any entries in the systems.
What controls?
The maker checker control.
Maker checker control. Fair. Fair enough.
Yeah,
Okay.
sir.
Take
Biometric system for the punching and punching.
biometrics. Okay. Anyone
Separation of
else?
duties.
Very good. Segregation of duties, very important when we'll reach the controls portion.
Also the SOPs.
The SOPs. Okay, wonderful. So, for those who are very new to this field, let's take an example, okay? And I am dedicating these 2-3 minutes specifically talking to the people who are very, very new to internal audit. I request those people to respond. We said that there are a system of controls in a company. And let's say, what can be an example of, one such type of a control? You all know that every company generates an invoice, let's say a sales invoice. And you have seen that this is this type of a document, right? Where all these details are there and what you have purchased is also there. And at the end, you have this signatures by authorized person, let's say the head of the department. So every invoice has to be signed. Do you agree with that? Specifically, the people who are very new to internal audit,
Yes.
Yes, sir.
right? So you feel that when this invoice is generated, it needs to be signed. Now, why do you think it needs to be signed?
So that no excess payment could given to the vendor.
Sorry, no?
So that no excess payment to be given to the vendor just to writing check.
Okay, so you are saying, okay, if you are making the payments, right?
Hmm.
So this would be a vendor invoice in case of vendor payments, right? You will not generate this invoice. But you are saying whenever you are paying it to a vendor, that also needs to be signed.
Exactly.
And why does that needs to be signed? You are saying so that excess payments are not given to a vendor. Point taken. What about regarding the sales invoice? Why do you think sales invoice needs to be signed? There you don't have to pay for anything.
For just checking the sales price, like what are the price we have given.
Okay, so you are saying it needs to be signed because you need to make sure that this is all correct. That's what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, fair, fair. Can I say this is signed so that, of course, accuracy is one thing, but it might happen that there are fake sales generated in the company, right? So you need to make sure that somebody is authorizing those sales invoices. And you are absolutely right. Both these examples, you are absolutely right. This signature by an authorized person is nothing but a control that the company has established. That whatever documents gets generated, somebody needs to authorize it, somebody needs to approve it, right? So this is an example of an internal control, right? And we'll talk about this example in detail when we'll do this accounting systems. All right. All right, guys. With this kind of an introduction, we dive in. All right. The Institute of Internal Auditors. This institute governs the professional practice of internal auditing worldwide, right? And, since you are acting as professionals, since you would be having the trust of a lot of people out there, so it's very, very important that you move in accordance with the framework. You have certain set of guidelines to guide you how to do what you need to do. All right. So the IIA has issued an extensive body of professional literature that, of course, would provide guidance for you as internal auditors in carrying out your job duties. And since these guide you to move in a particular manner, right? You command a level of respect with the profession as well. All right. The mission of internal audit. Now, what is the mission of internal audit? We'll go slow on this. To enhance and protect organizational value by providing risk-based and objective assurance, advice, and insight. Once again, enhance and protect organizational value by providing risk-based and objective assurance, advice, and insight. You know my question coming. What is risk-based? What do you mean by risk-based? Providing risk-based assurance.
A prevention of something.
It's
So I
depends on the impact. What is the impact to the company if something happens?
No, you are okay. You are giving me an example of, how would you categorize risk by impact? That's fine. We'll come to that a little later when we'll reach risk management. But I mean, what do you mean by risk-based audit? Let's
so
talk on a broader level. What do we mean by risk-based audit?
so Ayush, for all the controls like we foresee, there could be some what could go wrong scenarios.
Very good.
So that is something which is risk based. We assess, what the control would lack or what can go wrong if we don't implement certain things. So that
Very good.
broadly covers risk based.
Very good. Risk-based simply means that, whatever you're doing as internal audit, every time you have to consider that, yes, there could be risks in this process. There could be risks in this area. You every time have to think that, okay, what could go wrong everywhere, whatever you do, right? And when you think, okay, what could go wrong in this area? I'm handling payroll. What could go wrong in payroll? I'm handling procurement or purchases. What could go wrong in those areas? So when you think about what could go wrong in those areas, what you are doing, you are identifying all the risks, right? And that is risk-based assurance, that you are keeping in mind all the risks that would be there and how the current level of controls that the company has are those controls able to manage those risks, right? So that is risk-based. Okay, what about objective assurance?
Unbiased.
Good.
Means simply
Objective
unbiased.
means unbiased. Then definitely you cannot be biased. Wonderful. Facilitating the achievement of this mission is the IPPF, which is the International Professional Practices Framework. All right. This is an outline. This is a framework given to you that helps you manage all this. All right. So this IPPF contains mandatory guidance and recommended guidance. Now, I will not ask you what is mandatory guidance, of course, which you have to follow. And recommended guidance is, you might have a lot of these literatures available where those will explain you certain terms, tell you how to implement certain terms. But those are recommended kind of thing. All right. So adherence to the mandatory guidance is essential for the professional practice of internal auditing. And the mandatory guidance consists of 4 elements, guys. You have to remember this. Very important for your exam. The questions will be like, which of the following is one of the elements of mandatory guidance? Or which of the following is not one of the elements of mandatory guidance? All right. So 4 elements out there. The core principles, the definition of internal auditing, code of ethics, and the standards. Core principles, definition of internal auditing, code of ethics, and the standards. These 4 are the mandatory guidance. All right. We will dive into each one of them in this module. It's very easy, guys. Don't worry about it. Now, the first one, what are these core principles? All right. The internal audit function is effective if all principles are present and operating effectively. The core principles are as follows. You, as internal auditors, need to demonstrate integrity. What is integrity? Of course, we'll talk about this a little later as well in detail, but what is integrity according to you?
Honesty.
Honesty. Very good. So you as internal auditor needs to demonstrate honesty. You should be honest in what you're doing. Good. Demonstrate competence and due professional care. What is competence?
Required skill.
Skills. You are competent in what you're doing, right? You have those skills, you have the knowledge. Okay, competence. Due professional care. What is due professional care? Are What is due professional care?
Not
You
to
being
be
careful,
negligent. Not to be
not to be
negligent.
negligent. You being careful, right? Simple.
Responsibility, right?
Responsibility, carefulness, and we'll use this one term, which is very, very important, and we talk about this a lot when we talk about audit. You have to every time have professional skepticism. Ever heard about this term, professional skepticism?
Yes. To be alert.
To be alert, to have a questioning mind, right? That's you being skeptical. You just don't believe everything that the management says, or you don't believe everything that's being told to you. But you have a questioning mind. You ask questions. You seek for answers. That's when you are careful, right? You external auditors hear this a lot, right? Professional skepticism, but internal auditors also have to be skeptical enough. All right. Then the next one is objective and free from undue influence. That is you being independent. You are unbiased. You are free from undue influence. I'll give you a situation. Let's say you are auditing a company and you decide to audit a purchase department. The head of purchase department is your father. Can you audit purchase department?
No,
Or rather, should you audit purchase department?
no.
Why? Why not? What is the problem?
It is
Conflict,
bias kind
conflict
of,
of
stuff.
interest.
Conflict of interest,
Now,
bias.
how is it biased? And why is it a conflict of interest?
Because of you have the relationship with him, so that it will, even though if you are, very, very good, you are doing your honesty, the company will have, impact, like what we say. They will think that, you are doing some kind of favorism. It is what we say. There's, for example,
Right.
yeah.
Fair. Fair. So see, if what is the problem if a department that you're auditing is headed by like, let's say your father or your mother,
Can influence your
right?
decision making.
Influence your decisions, right? Let's say you identify something that is not right, or you're suspicious about something. Will you be speaking up? Never, right? That is the problem. And if you are not able to speak up, and if you're not able to disclose the thing that you've identified, which is not right, the entire purpose of you being the internal auditor fails. Right? So, we'll talk about this a little later as well, but you understand that here in this example that I gave you, you are not independent, right? You are not, you are influenced by certain factors, right? Which will hamper your doing the work. Now, what you do should be align with the strategies, objectives, and risk of the organization. Obviously, it's not an independent thing that you're doing, but whatever you're doing, that has to be aligned with the strategies of the company, the objective that the company tends to achieve, and the risks which are there in the organization. Is appropriately positioned and adequately resourced. You have appropriate authority, you have adequate resources to complete the work. Demonstrate quality and continuous improvement. This is fairly simple. Communicates effectively, very important. You are required to communicate a lot with the managers, with the senior managers, with the board of directors, right? So your communication skills are very important. So you need to communicate effectively. Provides a risk-based assurance, this we have already discussed, is insightful, proactive, and future-focused, obviously, right? You as a professional, you need to be forward-looking. You need to be able to identify the risks. If the technology is changing, we're moving to AI era, then what would be the new risks? Right? You have to be very proactive in thinking that. And of course, you are promoting organizational improvement, right? Whatever you're doing, you are promoting organizational improvement. All right. So these are your core principles. You demonstrate integrity, competence, due professional care. You are objective, you are independent. Whatever you do needs to be aligned with the strategies, objectives, and risks of the organization. As an internal auditor, you need to be appropriately positioned, adequately resourced. You demonstrate quality and continuous improvement. You need to be able to communicate effectively. The audit, the assurance that you do is a risk-based assurance. You need to be insightful, proactive, future-focused, and promotes organizational improvement. The questions would be, which of the following is one of the core principles, or which of the following is not one of the core principles? So make sure that you remember these core principles. All right. Okay. For the people who are new to internal audit, are you able to understand till this point?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Good.
Yes.
So if you think that I'm moving fast, please slow me down. Okay. All right. Moving on to the second mandatory thing, which is the definition of internal auditing. Now, how would you define an internal audit? Internal audit is an independent, objective, assurance and consulting activity. Assurance and consulting activity. It can be audit, it can be assurance, right? It can also be consulting, right? Internal audit is an independent, you understand, objective, you understand. Assurance and consulting activity, we'll talk about the difference between the two in a little while. Design, somebody said this answer when I asked, what is why internal auditing? So you need to add value and improve an organization's operations. Very important keywords for you in the exam also. Add value, right? So this is designed to add value and improve an organization's operations. It helps an organization accomplish its objectives by bringing a systematic, disciplined approach to evaluate and improve. There you go. To evaluate and improve the effectiveness of risk management, control, and governance, together classified as the GRC. Very important pillars of internal auditing: governance, risk management, and controls. All right. Okay. Moving on to the next one, which was, why do you have the standards? So the purpose of the standards, very important. Again, you have to remember these points. which one of the following is the purpose of the standards, or which one of the following is not one of the purpose of the standards? Guide adherence to the mandatory elements of IPPA standards. Of course, you are following the mandatory elements, right? So guide adherence to the mandatory elements of the IPPF. Provide a framework for performing and promoting a broad range of value-added internal auditing services. So again, if you're following the standards, you know what standards are, right? It's an outline, it's a framework. Establish the basis for evaluation of internal auditing performance, right? So how would your performance be evaluated? You'll be marked on, or you'll be evaluated on whether you are, right? So those standards also establish the basis for evaluation of internal audit performance, right? And foster improved organizational processes and operations. Of course, if you're following the standards, if you're doing what you're supposed to do, it follows culture of an improved organizational processes and operations. Now, you can also remember this by the mnemonic. The four elements can be learned by the mnemonic PICS: core principles, definition of internal auditing, code of ethics, and the standards, right? The purpose of the standards, there you go. A very interesting mnemonic coming your way. FIFA framework acts as a basis of internal audit performance, foster improved organizational processes, and adherence to mandatory guidance, right? So I will share these notes with you. You need not worry about them, right? So you can remember this by the mnemonic FIFA. Okay. Moving on to recommended guidance. Now you might be wondering that we have only done 3 of 4 mandatory guidance. What about the code of ethics? We'll be talking about this in a little while. The IAA developed these pronouncements through a formal approval process. Now, what is recommended guidance? They describe practices for effective implementation of the core principles, the definition, the ethics, and the standards. How would you implement what is written now? Right? There are 2 recommended elements: implementation guidance and supplemental guidance. Implementation, how to do what is written. Supplemental, if you need a little more clarity on the terminologies, a little more clarity on the stuff, that's supplemental guidance for you. All right. Now, you have seen this, that the purpose of the internal audit activity is to provide independent this is exactly what is the definition of internal audit, right? Okay. Now, authority. The support of management and board is crucial when inevitable conflicts arise between the internal audit activity and the department or function under review. Now, my question to you is, why do you think there are chances of conflict between the internal audit activity and the departments of the company that you are auditing? Why do you think the chances of conflict?
Because we are finding fault in their control.
We
Are
are
you finding
evaluating them.
faults?
No, sir. We are evaluating and recommending. There is a gap, and there is a process gap or whatever, whether they are following or not. So there must be
So
conflict.
see, the purpose of you being there is not to identify frauds or identifying faults, right? The purpose of you being there is, okay, what you evaluate the current process, and if you think that there can be certain improvements, you recommend those improvements. Now, it might happen that if I am the purchase department head and you've recommended a lot of improvements in my department, what will people start feeling? That I, being the head of the department, and my department lacks a lot of these things. So I might feel that my performance will be questioned. Do you agree? Can it happen?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes.
it might happen that I start, uh, not cooperating with you, right? I might not be cooperative with you. I might be posing challenges for you, and that's where conflicts start arising on these terms, right? And why do you think it is written that the support of management and board is very crucial? How would you think management and board, would be able to solve this? Whose side
Giving
do you
the
think this management and board will take?
They will take the auditor's side.
Not necessarily. They will do what is best in a given scenario, right? Not necessarily that every time the management will take the auditor side only,
Yeah, exactly.
right? But yes, to resolve the conflict, you need the support of the management and the board, right? They should be able to solve the conflicts. They should be able to make you also understand certain things and the other department also understand certain things, right? So they need to foster this culture. They need, uh, to intervene in cases of these types of conflicts. All right. Okay. Again, now what is your responsibility? The internal auditor's responsibility is to provide organization with assurance and consulting that will add value and improve the organization's operations. So simply, you have to do these two things: evaluate something and improve something. That's it. Now, we used two terms:
I have one question,
assurance.
if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
See, basically, see, there could be, I could imagine that, there could be SOP SOP in place, where else, SOP could not be able to follow for some reasons, and, there could be, business decision altogether it has been taken. So according to that, as we say that, if we can able to recommend something, can we incorporate that into SOP kind of stuff, as an exceptional case, that they can able to do that so that there will be no conflict at all, So I'm imagining that way.
No, you need to elaborate on that. So as I understand, you're saying that there is an SOP in
Yeah,
place,
yeah,
right? And the department is deviating from that SOP,
yes. Because of
right?
business decisions. Yeah,
Because of a circumstantial thing,
yeah, yeah.
right? It will not be a business decision to not to follow the SOP, right? But
Okay.
it might happen that there is a circumstance, there is a situation that has that is there that might require you to deviate from that SOP and do what is not written over there,
Yes, exactly. That we
right?
are finding some, we are saying that SOP is not followed. Some kind of, recommendation has been provided, from which,
Right.
this is decided by the board, management, as you say, rightly said, the management will be, seeing which is, feasible at that point in time, and they may allow for that case. If that is the case, we can
Yeah, but
recommend in
that
that
is
exceptional.
fine,
Yeah.
right? Now, what will happen? So, how will you as auditors, do this thing? There is a risk that you are not following the SOPs,
Yeah.
right? There is an evidence that you have not followed the SOP, but is there a justifiable situation wherein you have not followed the SOP? Is it justified? Do you have the support? Do you have the backing? Does the auditor also feel that yes, the situation required a deviation from the SOP in order to do the things in a better manner? If all these things are there, see, there are risks, then there are mitigators, right?
Okay.
Since you understand that, right? You're working in that. There are risks, then there are mitigators. So do you have a mitigating factor which nullifies that risk? If yes, it's fine. But you will not be able to write down in the SOP that there are certain situations which is where they're okay not to follow the SOP. So if you are deviating from the SOP, it's always be based on a situation, a circumstance, right? And if you are able to justify, and if auditors also feel that yes, it's fine that you had to deviate from the SOP, then it's fine.
Great. Here another question arise.
Uh,
If that is the case,
Ayush,
can we?
I'd like to budge in here. When I say that in an SOP, I as a line function, I choose to circumvent the SOP due to some unavoidable reasons. Actually, in the SOP itself, it should be maintained. Probably it might become a case of improvement for future basis and audit recommendation is that those SOPs should contain exception processing also.
Exceptional what?
So when exception processing in the sense when they when I'm choosing not to adhere to the extent SOP as of now. So whether
Okay.
I do not, it might be a thing like I do not take a call independently. I loop in my seniors who give an approval to me to go around uh, go- uh, circumventing the SOP. Just probably it might be an unavoidable reason which is not in control of the line or the organization itself. So
Yeah, so
those SOP,
it can be stated that somebody else can act as a proxy for you in that case, right? But you are not able to write what are those circumstances wherein you can deviate from the SOPs.
so going by yeah, there might be going by the same example of sales invoice which you were telling that the
Yeah.
sales invoices are supposed to be signed off by the department head. Now the department head is on leave for some medical reasons, and those sales invoices are now being signed by the accountant and being circulated. So the accountant himself or herself cannot go about signing those things. He has to take in a delegation or an approval so that his sign remains valid subsequent to the sales head coming in. So those SOPs
Agreed.
should have that particular exception processing.
Yeah, definitely. See, then your SOP would state that, you know, if authorized by the head of the department, or the head of the department may authorize someone in written, uh, and can delegate that power to someone else, right? That will definitely be mentioned over there, of course, right? So that's fine. But all those specific circumstances will not be mentioned over there and will require auditor to or require you to back that up with an appropriate reason that why you have deviated from the SOP. Right? Point taken. I don't. Does that make sense?
Yeah, actually, still I have one or
Yeah,
two
please.
addition to that. What will happen? See, this decision has been taken by in a some in a internal an auditor. And if you're going to CAE, he would have been saying that no, it has to be called. So the decision could not be able to taken, and we are not sure whether we need to report this to board of directors or not, audit committee or whomever we say. Whether we need to report or not, there could be some conflict of interest will happen. So I'm not using the conflict of interest. It will not come into this picture at this point in time, but somehow we are not saying that the decision what we have taken could be wrong also. We are not qualifying. We are satisfied with the answer and we take the decision. And if you are not qualifying the report, it will it will be a problem which I feel that, so that this should be reported to the board of directors or audit committee, whomever it is there or not. I'm actually not clear of it. Yeah.
See, if you think that the deviation is significant enough, right? Uh, Even if it's a business call, but if you're not following the standards, or if you feel that that deviation is significant enough, you need to report that.
But the
right?
business decision, what has been taken is,
Fair.
something which is,
So
say, example, in
see that.
procurement, if you say,
So
procurement
if you
is very,
feel that if you are satisfied as auditors, if you are satisfied that okay, it's a business call and it's fine, then it's fine. Then you don't need to report that unless it's a very, very significant of a deviation.
okay,
Even if you report it
that
to the board that it's a very
base,
significant of a deviation, but we as auditors feel that it's fine, then that makes sense.
okay, that base, fine, all right.
Yeah. So you have to be satisfied. See, everything you will not be able to disclose each and everything to the board, right? You have to take a call that, is that matter significant enough that requires a board attention,
Yeah, I
right?
understand. Yeah, okay.
Wonderful.
That content, yeah.
Now, regarding assurance versus consulting, there are two terms. Assurance engagements is different and consulting engagements are different, right? So what is an assurance engagement? The IIA defines assurance services as an objective examination of evidence. Objective examination of evidence for the purpose of providing an independent assessment on the GRC of the organization. Once again, assurance services are an objective examination of evidence for the purpose of providing an independent assessment on the GRC. Let's look at the audit process. What do you think is the end result of audit? Let's understand this from an external audit perspective, right? Now, what do you think is the end result of external audit?
To provide a
Reporting.
report.
Audit report?
Audit report.
What will that audit report have?
We have audited
Findings,
this part
observations.
based on this, yeah. Based on this, and this is our observations.
Your opinion,
Evaluation result, actually.
Yes,
right? Your
opinions.
opinion. Audit report will have your opinion. Okay. To reach to that opinion or to frame an opinion, what do you need to do?
Evidence.
How would you reach to that
Evaluate the
opinion,
evidence.
whether the financial statements are right or wrong?
Test the controls.
Test the
Whether it-
controls, one thing,
You have to
and
back it up with evidence.
you have to back it up with evidence. Understand, how am I moving along the process? Once I start doing the audit, once I start decide, or once I decide that, okay, I will be acting as an auditor for Amazon, let's say. Now, from the moment I agree to being an auditor, first step, you need to plan your engagement. Agreed? You need to have an audit plan in place. Okay. Then you start performing the engagement. Now, while performing the engagement, you have to obtain a lot of evidences. Evidences as to whether the sales are right, whether the purchases are accurate, whether the asset is existing, whether the transaction occurred in the same period. Now, I am giving an example of financial statements because we're talking about an external auditor here. It's better to understand. Then once you get all these evidences, what will you do? You'll analyze those evidences. You'll examine those evidences. Why are you examining the evidences? Because you have to reach to a conclusion, whether revenue is right or not, whether there are any misstatements in purchases. And based on your conclusions, you will be framing an opinion in mind. Right? Do you agree with this? And that is why when you are talking about assurance services, a very, very important thing is examination of evidence, because you have to give an opinion on something. And for you to give an opinion on something, you have to obtain evidences, you have to analyze those evidences. All right. Now, the nature and scope of an assurance engagement are determined by the internal auditor. Very important. Nature and scope of an assurance engagement are determined by the internal auditor. There are three parties when it comes to assurance: the process owner, the internal auditor, and the user. User of your report, you being the internal auditor, and the process owner, let's say the purchase department. Right? Generally, there are three parties in assurance services as compared to consulting services. Consulting services are activities intended to add value and improve the GRC. What is missing? What is missing here?
Examination of evidence.
Examination of evidence. Consulting services, you're not required to examine the evidences. You are providing your advice. You are providing consulting services. So activities intended to add value and improve the GRC without the internal auditor assuming management responsibility. What do we mean by this? Without internal auditor assuming management responsibility. What do you mean by this? That means you are not doing something which is the responsibility of the management. If implementing a situation, implementing a procedure is the responsibility of the management, that you as auditor or you as internal auditors cannot implement the process, right? You cannot assume the management responsibilities. All right. The nature and scope over here are subject to agreement with the engagement client. In assurance, the nature and scope was being determined by the internal auditor. Here, you have to have it in agreement with the client. The two parties, there were three parties. Here, it's only two parties. It's the internal auditor and the engagement client.
Sir, hello?
Yeah,
sir. That part, without assuming, can you please one more
Without
point?
assuming management responsibility is that if something is the responsibility of the management, right, you will not be able to do that. You should not do that as internal auditors. Let's say, just to give you a very broad example, who prepares the financial statements in a company? Is it the management or is it the auditors?
Management.
Management. Can auditors prepare the financial statements?
No.
No, we will only review.
Why? Because you will review them, right? You cannot prepare something and review your own work. Similarly, if you implement something in the company and you're acting as an internal auditor, that means you will be reviewing your own work. You cannot do that, right? So you do not have to assume the management's responsibilities. Okay.
This
Let
will
me
not,
give you two scenarios. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, this point will not affect the assurance service also.
Which point?
No, without assuming, this is the confusion. Why it is coming
Yeah,
under
it will
consulting service.
affect assurance also, while auditors
Mm.
also, while providing assurance services also, you cannot, of course, you will not be able to implement something because you're auditing it.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me give you two situations, guys.
One more, sorry, if you don't
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah.
See, in this consulting advice, we said that no need of analyzing the evidence. But why not? If you want to give a clear cut consulting service, if I want to do consulting service for the existing process, why not I need to go through the evidence and verify and do some other consulting?
Then it's assurance.
No, consulting before
if you are
giving the
looking
consulting.
if you are looking at the existing process of the company, and you're giving a consulting that whether it is enough or you need to do something else, isn't that assurance? Let me give you two scenarios.
Okay,
Yeah,
that will
right?
be
It
fine.
will be clear.
Yeah.
Suppose you are an internal auditor, okay? Now let's say Amazon comes to you and requests you to provide your opinion on the current system of all right. So this is the first scenario that Amazon comes to you and requests you to provide your opinion on the current system of purchases. Okay. Second situation. Pepsi comes to you and says, all right. So these are two situations, guys. Now you need to tell me which one is assurance and which one is consulting.
First
Amazon is
one. First,
assurance.
Amazon is consulting.
no, assurance. Amazon is assurance because we are checking the current
Amazon is
system.
Asher and PepsiCo is Consult.
Okay. So you are saying Amazon is
Assurance.
Assurance
assurance. Okay. Why?
because we are evaluating their process and giving our feedbacks or opinions. There is a three people. Amazon. We are check. There is auditee, and we are the auditors and the management also. Here we can
Good.
see only two people.
This is assurance. Just remember something. Whenever you have to provide an opinion on something, you will look at the evidences. You will examine the evidences to reach the opinion, to reach the conclusion and frame an opinion. That makes it three parties, right? And you're absolutely right. Just look for this word opinion in the exam. The option that has this opinion word is definitely eyes closed. It's assurance. It's not consulting. In consulting, you do not give an opinion on something, because to give an opinion, you'll have to look at the evidences and then you have to recommend something, and that's assurance. Now, what is the problem? What about this PepsiCo? Why is it consulting?
We are not examining.
You're not examining anything, right? Just recommending the best practices for IT systems. That's it.
But sir,
Right?
that
Yeah.
other guy already asked one doubt there. Now I'm also feeling that. How we can recommend this best practices without looking what is happening in the company? Means just we are giving some standards or something.
Yeah.
Or,
You just have to recommend best practices. That's it.
okay.
Yeah, you have your
Okay.
experience, you are competent enough to look at what's happening in the industry, and you say that, okay, these are the best practices for IT systems. To implement or not is the
Okay.
call of the management.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, good. So in the exam, guys, I am saying this again and again, you will definitely have this question. You know, if If the examiner is in a good mood, that you might be having multiple questions, at least 2-3 questions. Look for this word opinion. Whatever option says opinion, eyes closed, it's assurance. All right, guys. Moving on to ethics. Now, before moving on to ethics, guys, do you feel the need of taking a break here? Do you need a 15-minute break here?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
5
Okay.
minutes,
No
5
problem.
minutes could be enough also. 5 to 10 minutes, enough.
It's okay. It's a standard practice in my session. 15-minute break. Let's take a 15-minute break now. There's no break after that. We'll straight away finish the session. All right. Let's take a 15-minute break. Once we are back, we'll complete this. And if there is time, we will practice questions as well. Otherwise, questions will follow in the next session. I'll see you in 15 minutes. All right, guys, are we back?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Let's move on into the ethics. Okay. Now, before we move on to the ethics, why do you think ethics are important in a company? Or why do you think a code of ethics should be there in a company? Anyone? Do you think a company should be having a code of ethics?
Yes, it should be.
Okay, why?
To run the business ethically.
To run the business ethically. What do you mean by that?
This is related to auditors, right?
Sorry?
Okay. This is related to internal auditors and ethics related to internal audit, not the business.
Yeah, generally ethics. Yeah,
Okay.
you tie it up with internal audit.
Mm.
So why do you
That should
think
be.
ethics is very important when we're talking about audit? Why do you think ethics is very important in a company?
There should be some values, otherwise we'll be deviating from our honesty.
Otherwise, frauds, risk of frauds uh,
Mm.
would increase, conflicts of interest would be there. It might happen that you are reviewing your own work. A lot of these things can be possible. Fair. Now, it says the purpose of the code of ethics is to promote an ethical culture in the profession of internal auditing, right? It says a code of ethics is necessary and appropriate for the profession of internal auditing, founded as it is on the trust placed in its objective assurance about the GRC, right? So, of course, we also understand a code of ethics is very important. The code of ethics extend beyond the definition of internal auditing to include two essential components. Very important question for you. Now, code of ethics extend beyond the definition to include two additional components: principles that are relevant to the profession and the rules of conduct that describe the behavior norms expected out of internal auditors. Right? Rules of conduct will also be included in the code of ethics, right? How do you behave in a particular manner? Internal auditors refers to institute members, recipient of or candidates for IIA professional certifications, and those who perform internal audit services. Now, who is this code of ethics applicable for? Is it only for you after obtaining the CIA certification? Or is it also applicable to you even if you are a part of internal audit team and you are not a CIA.
All
See,
internal auditors. All internal auditors.
all
For
internal
all,
Yeah, yeah.
auditors. Very
for
good.
all,
All
even this.
internal auditors, not just restricted to you being the CIA or institute members. Very good. Code of ethics applies to both entities and individuals that perform the internal audit services. Right? This we have already seen its repetition. That provisions of the code are applied broadly to all organizations and persons who perform internal audit services, not just CIAs and members of the IAA. Very important. For IIA
Sir,
members, sorry.
yeah, sir. There will be questions from that introduction part. There will be question from that previous.
Put this page
Oh, yeah, there will be question
might happen. This question.
in principles, rules of. Yeah, because we go
Okay.
fast.
Oh, we went fast because it's just this paragraph that you require to understand here.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. For IIA members and recipients of or candidates for professional certifications, any breaches of the code of ethics will be evaluated and administered according to the institute's bylaws and administrative directives. Right? So if you're a member or if you are a recipient or a candidate of CIA, any breaches of the code of ethics, if you're not following, if you've breached the code of ethics, you will be evaluated and administered according to the bylaws and administrative directives of the institute. Now, and you will help me with an example of this. The fact that a particular conduct is not mentioned in the rules of conduct does not prevent it from being unacceptable or discreditable. And therefore, member certification holder or candidate can be liable for disciplinary action. What do we mean by this? Help me understand this. Anyone? Help me understand this, please.
It is not about. It's not. Hello.
It is not only explicit but implicit that in case there are any activities which are being undertaken which can be construed as to be discreditable, disciplinary action can be taken against that particular individual or
Right. Right. So see, it's not possible for you to write each and every situation in the rule of conduct. Let's understand that. Right. But the fact that a particular situation is not mentioned in the rule of conduct does not make it creditable. Doesn't mean that you can do it. You're fine. Right. So for this also you are liable for disciplinary action, even if the fact is not explicitly mentioned in the rule of conduct. You have brains, right? People have brains. You know what is right and wrong. So even if an action is not mentioned in the rule of conduct and it's apparently not right, then you are liable for disciplinary action as well. Okay. Now, what are the principles of the code of ethics? Integrity. We've seen that, right? Integrity, you said honesty. Objectivity, you said unbiased. Confidentiality. What do we mean by confidentiality? What is confidentiality?
You should not disclose information to others, confidential information.
Right. So, being an auditor, guys, understand, you will be exposed to a lot of sensitive information of the client. Now, it is not right on your part to disclose the information to a third person or to anyone unless you have a prior authority given by the client or a permission given by the client. Okay. So, internal auditors do not disclose the information without appropriate authority unless there is a legal or professional obligation to do so. Now, yes, you need a written permission of the client to disclose the information to someone, but unless there is a legal obligation to do so. For example, you've been summoned by the court of law. In court of law, you can disclose, right? You have a legal and a professional obligation to do that. Competency, knowledge, skills, and experience, right? This is fairly simple. Moving on to the first one, integrity. Very important. Let's understand. Internal auditors shall perform their work with honesty, diligence, and responsibility. Simple. Shall observe the law and make disclosures expected by the law and the profession. So you yourself should be following the law, right? Shall not knowingly be a party to any illegal activity. What does that mean? Not knowingly be a party to an illegal activity? Let's understand this through an example. Suppose you are auditing a purchase department, right? And you find out that a person in the purchase department is doing a fraud. Okay. Now, you identify the fraud, but the person comes to you and says that please do not disclose this fraud, and the money I make, 50% I will give it to you. So the auditor chose not to disclose the fact and let the matter go. Are you in violation of this ethics? Are you in violation of ethics?
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Why? But you have not done that fraud.
But we are also the
But
party.
we are still obliged to report the same, right?
So
We are also
even if
part
you
of
did
that.
not
We are
do the fraud, but you knew about it and you chose not to disclose. So you not knowingly, you knowingly became a party of that act,
also we are
right?
getting the benefit also here. Not only,
Sorry.
yeah, we are getting the benefit out of it.
Right. Fair. So you shall not knowingly be a party to any illegal act. Shall respect and contribute to the legitimate and ethical objectives of the organization. This is simple, right? So integrity says you'll be honest, you yourself will be observing the law, and you shall not knowingly be a party to any illegal activity. Very important exam questions. Integrity is the foundation of other three principles. Fair. The CAE's responsibility. Who's the CAE? Who's this chief audit executive? This is the first time we are using this word. Who's the
Head
chief
of
audit
audit.
executive? The head of audit, right?
Head
The
of audit.
chief audit executives, the CAE's responsibility for implementing integrity includes cultivating a culture of integrity, establishing policies and procedures to guide the internal audit activity, and emphasizing the importance of integrity by providing appropriate training to your staff. Conformance with integrity may be demonstrated through the following. A quality assurance and improvement program, right? This is QAIP. We'll talk about this in the third module, right? There is something known as QAIP. Forms of acknowledgement signed by individual internal auditors, demonstrating that the auditors have committed to follow the organization's ethics policy or code of conduct. For the people who are working in Big Fours, right? You might be having an annual declaration that is rolled out by the HR that you have to sign on an annual basis. Have you observed that?
Yeah.
What is that? The
Basically,
same
it is a
thing.
kind of agreement. What I have understand in last 2 years that you have to not disclose anything of the client. What I understand from that thing, and we have to keep things private, something like that.
Right. So basically, everything will be there. It's a annual declaration
Kind of
that you sign
non-disclosure agreement, I
that
I
you
could
will
say.
be following. You will be
The
following the ethics,
Yeah.
best interest of the organization.
Yeah.
the best interest of the that you will be working for the best interest of the organization. Very good.
Yeah, normally in my previous organization, we used to have it like quarterly, not yearly. Every quarter we need to submit.
Fair. Uh, Diligent supervision of engagements and performance of the self-assessment required by the standard. So we'll talk about this also that, on an every engagement basis also you need to supervise people. You need to self-assess a lot of things. Right? We'll talk about that. Okay, let's try this question. An internal auditor working for a chemical manufacturer believed that toxic waste was being dumped in violation of the law. Out of loyalty to the organization, no information regarding the dumping was collected. Now, the internal auditor has violated or has not violated? First, tell me this.
Yes.
Violated. Violated.
Violated.
Violated, then straight
Outside
away C and D are ruled out.
Yeah.
You are left with A and B.
Outstanding.
Violated
A,
how? By knowingly became a party to an illegal act or by failing to protect the well-being of the general public.
So this is a violation of the law, so it's an illegal act. Point A.
option A.
Very good. Because you knew about it and you chose to ignore. So you knowingly became a party to that illegal act. Good. Moving on to objectivity. I hope integrity is comfortable. Moving on to objectivity now. Internal auditors shall not participate in any activity or relationship that may impair or be presumed to impair their unbiased assessment. Shall not participate in any activity or relationship that may impair or be presumed to impair the unbiased assessment. You are acting as an auditor in the sales department, and the head of the sales department is your father. Tell me the problem.
Clear case of
Look,
conflict of interest.
we have discussed that. We've discussed this kind of an example before,
Yeah.
but you might be a very genuine person. You might have the guts to stand up against what is wrong, even if it is done by your relative. Is it still a problem? Yes. Because for people who look at this scenario, you might be very ethical, you might be very objective, but for people who look at this situation, they don't know you. They will feel that, there's a problem in this scenario, right? And that is why it said may impair or be presumed to impair the unbiased assessment. So you shall not participate in that activity. You cannot do that audit if it is headed by one of your relatives. Shall not accept anything that may impair or be presumed to impair the professional judgment. The management of a company gives you a world tour, all 5-star stays, business class travel. What will you do?
Not accepted.
क्या बात कर रहे हो? Really?
Yeah, not accepted.
World tour, 5-star stays, business class tickets, you'll refuse it.
Yeah, it is against our ethics. We cannot
Against your ethics.
because
दिल पे हाथ दिल
means
पे हाथ रख के बताओ यार, दिल पे हाथ रख के बताओ. मना करोगे?
yeah,
Yes.
दिल पे
Yes.
हाथ
Yes.
रखा.
Yes.
यार
Our
बड़े
report
सीधे
may be
लोग हो यार आप.
unbiased.
Last batch में मुझे किसी ने बोला, I know somebody said in the last batch that hey, you'll accept and then you'll resign. Yeah, you go enjoy and then resign. Okay, but you are all right, guys. You cannot accept. Why? What is the problem?
Our decision might be influenced because of that. We
May
cannot be
impair.
like
Good.
in a position
Now,
to give our
very good. So
It
opinion.
will
now
affect our
you
professional
as
judgment.
right, you as auditor start feeling indebted to that client, right? And you will choose to ignore a lot of things just to keep that relationship with the client. That's a problem. The very purpose of you being the internal auditor fails, right? So definitely you cannot accept anything that may impair or be presumed to impair your professional judgment. Shall disclose
Excuse
all
me.
material.
Actually, in that case, if I'm working for a company, the board of directors is, giving me, to go ahead with this. In that case, is it? I
Why
feel
will
it's
board
not.
of sorry? Even
The
if
board
board
of
of directors
the
give
board
it
of
to
directors
you,
are the real the audit committee, we can say in the specific, they are giving as a part of relaxation, they may allow this, and if they allow, what, if there is any issue, or I don't think so.
definitely it's an issue.
No, it cannot be. No,
See,
they are the real owners. The audit committee itself decided, yeah, based on your
the board of directors are not
as
the owners.
appreciation.
The board of directors is not the owners. Right? See, you have to understand, if something that's being provided to you uh, is in a normal course of business or it's outside the normal course of business. Uh,
Yeah, this
a
questions
diary and a
matter.
pen, a diary and a pen on Diwali, it's a normal practice. The company might give you a diary and a pen as a gift. Can you accept that?
Yeah,
Yeah, we
sure.
can.
Why? Why do you accept
It's
that?
nominal value.
That
Normal,
might be a
right?
part of promotion, not necessarily be a gift or
Normal
something else.
course of business,
And
normal
it's
course
Yeah.
of
given to
business,
everybody,
and it's not
not.
significant. Yeah, it's given to everyone. It's not significant enough that will hamper your judgment, right? But let's say uh, the management is gifting you Rolex watches, the entire audit team. Can you accept it?
We cannot.
Definitely not. Right? That's outside your normal course of business, right? So you have to judge it from a lot of different parameters. Let's say a management says, yeah, okay, it's an audit completion. Let's go out for dinner. Is there any problem?
Yeah,
If it is
provided I can
normal
give a
food,
No,
real
if
life
it was a
example.
normal hotel, yeah.
if you are going 5-star or 5-star hotel, it
Yeah.
is not
5
acceptable.
star, it might be questionable.
If you're given very expensive coupons, it might be a problem. But it's normal course or dinner might not make you indebted to a management,
I can
right?
give an example where
Yes, Peter.
where there are team lunches where sometimes on the engagement, auditor is also part of the team lunch, although it's
Yeah,
company, but they will insist that they pay their own bill.
yeah. So all this is very important. You have to maintain your objectivity at all levels, right? Uh, yeah, so all of you are right. Very good. Shall disclose all material facts known to them that, if not disclosed, may distort the reporting of activities under review. Any significant thing that you think needs reporting, you will have to report it. Right. Good. Conflict of interest. Prohibit the transfer of benefits between an employee and those with whom the organization deals. What do you understand by conflict of interest? What is conflict of interest?
The same example which you were referring to, that the auditor finds a person who is skimming off money or something, and then tries to give the auditor a pass back.
Okay, fair. Any other example of conflict of interest?
Like we are working under a relative, or suppose the department we are supposed to audit is like our near and dear ones or the known ones are the head. So that is a conflict of interest because our decisions might be influenced because of that.
Okay, let's say that your father owns a is your biggest supplier of raw materials in the company. Any problem?
The rates might be lower, like not an arm's length, maybe favorable.
So if you can find risks, maybe that's a problem, right? Is it a conflict of interest? And if you're auditing the procurement department, and your father's manufacturing company is the biggest raw material supplier of your company, is it a conflict of interest? Is it a problem?
Yes, it
Yes.
is a problem.
Yes.
Definitely a problem. Right? Again, you will not be able to audit the procurement department. So all in all, having said that, we understand that conflict of interest. You do not have, you should not be having a conflict of interest while acting as an internal auditor.
Sir, I have a doubt. Yes, sir. When it comes to family business, I'm currently working in a family business anyway. Okay. There are something, this, for example, one of my brother is working in one of the store, it's a supermarket store. Okay. He's working as a purchase manager. Anyway, I'm not going there for auditing, but still the business allowed me to do the audit. Only thing I will never go to his store. Is it okay for, because the company allow me to do?
Sorry? Your brother is, you are acting as an auditor of a store.
No,
Your
no,
brother
no, no.
is.
Not acting as an auditor. Auditing
Okay.
means my brother is a purchase manager of one of the stores. We have 56 stores. Okay.
Okay.
He is the purchase manager of one of the stores. And
Okay.
the only thing that management told me that you are not allowed to go to that store. Okay. But you can do the rest of stores.
Yeah, that is fine. See, if I say that your father is a purchase manager or your mother is a purchase manager, I mean, the head of the purchase department. So you will not be able to audit the purchase department, but you can audit the tax department. It's fine.
Okay. It's not against our institute.
No,
Means
it's not a problem. If you cannot audit that store,
okay.
definitely.
Thank you.
All right. Now, objectivity.
So
Violations in.
Aayush, this is Sharad. Just
Yeah, sure.
apart from any other example with respect to conflict of interest other than the 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 family members or relatives being involved in some of the other activities which are supposed to be audited, or it is limited to whether there are relatives, known persons, friends who are involved in such activity
No, so even if you're having a different company, like the example I gave you, that your relative is having a different company and that's the biggest the raw material supplier. Again, you are having a conflict of interest clearly. It's a conflict of interest means you should not be having interest on any types with the company.
So as of now, what I've been able to understand is that if there is any relative or a friend who is getting covered under the ambit of audit, tends to become a conflict of interest. Otherwise, there is this element is gets obviated if there is no such
Yeah, so
relation.
yeah, definitely. No, so
Okay,
the
got it.
conflict of interest will only arise if you can seek a personal benefit out of it, right? And
See,
that personal
so
benefit will be when one of your relatives is either a supplier or is acting as the head of anywhere involved in the company.
Even if one of our friends also working there, then it's also
See,
part of the
friend will not make it a conflict of interest. आप 1 million की डील करो फ्रेंड के साथ देखो फिर उनका रूप. So
no problem.
having said
Because
that, friend,
why I'm asking this question, sir, if there is a chance in the examination that they mention your friend
no,
is
they will
working
not
there.
ask you a debatable questions.
Okay, okay, fine. Thank you.
actually, I have one debatable question over here. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
See, when I join in a company, I don't know if my relation is working on that. So after I being appointed as internal auditor, I came to understand the relation, is the business relation is CEO of the company. Then I cannot able to
Sorry?
audit. CEO of the
Sorry?
company. CEO of the company.
Who?
When I joined the company as internal auditor,
Okay.
I came to understand the distance relation is the CEO of the company. So he
Okay.
is administratively, managing all the departments. So then I cannot able to audit any of the department. Then then my joining in the company is, I cannot perform the duties. So how do we treat this? Actually, seriously, I don't understand. However,
See,
hypothetical
you
question,
have to
maybe.
disclose this. You have to disclose this to the CAE. Probably you will be removed from the audit team.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay then.
Again, it depends on what level of significance and influence does the CEO have on your department. Not every department the CEO will be directly involved in, right?
CEO is the whole responsibility for the company
I
itself.
know it's
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. The whole responsibility of the company.
Mm.
The first best safeguard is remove you from the audit team altogether, right? If
Yeah.
if that is not possible, then at least you are doing the work, and somebody is reviewing your work on an independent basis, and you're only auditing those departments where CEO is not having a direct influence,
Okay.
right? Uh, but yes, the best case, you cannot audit. Violations include excessive individual fraternizing outside of work with the organization's employees, managements, third parties, suppliers, and vendors. Even if you try to gel up, excessive familiarization outside of work, no going on dates with audit team, or between the audit and the clients, right? So that is also a violation. Violation include accepting gifts, meal strips, and special treatment that exceed the policy limits or are not disclosed and approved. Violations also include intentional omission of disclosures of illegal activity from the final engagement communications. All these are exam questions, by the way. Okay.
So the question will be like 2.1, 2.2. Do we need to remember that number or
No,
just
no,
understand
no, 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 no,
exactly?
no. Only situational type questions.
Okay.
You're not required to remember the numbers.
Not.
Conformance with objectivity is demonstrated by the CAE provides relevant policies and procedures for the internal audit activities. The CAE requires the internal auditors attend meetings or training sessions about objectivities. The CAE documents the rationale for allocation of resources to the internal audit plan, and approval by the CAE or a designated engagement supervisor of engagement work papers may evidence that internal auditors have conducted a balanced assessment. So the work, see, whatever you do, a lot of work papers are being prepared. What is a work paper? Everything that you do has to be documented, right? So I remember when I joined KPMG as auditor, my seniors told me, and I used to hear that a lot, that something that is not documented is not done, right? So whatever you do, that has to be documented somewhere. All right. So that's how you maintain the objectivity. Let's try this question. An internal auditing team has made observations and recommendations that should significantly improve a division's operating efficiency. Out of appreciation of this work, and because it is a holiday season, the division manager presents the in-charge internal auditor with a gift of moderate value. Which of the following best describes the action prescribed by the ethics? Accept or not accept?
Not accept.
Okay, not accept. D is ruled out between A, B, C.
Point C, not accept it regardless of other circumstances. No, not point C.
It's B. B.
B, not accept if the gift is presumed to impair the judgment.
Yes,
You're
point B.
absolutely right.
B.
Very
B.
good. So that's a better option. So always it might happen that, in the questions you might feel, यार A भी हो सकता है, B भी हो सकता है, C भी हो सकता है. It depends. Again, you have to select the most appropriate answer out of the four. All right? That you have to do. All right, regarding confidentiality, the auditor shall be prudent in the use and protection of information acquired in the course of their duties, shall not use information for any personal gain or in any manner that would be contrary to the law or detrimental to the legitimate and ethical objectives of the organization. You come to know of uh, a very sensitive information that you think if it is made public will significantly impact the share price. You start purchasing shares in your wife's name or your spouse's name. Violation or not a violation?
Violation.
Violation.
Why? You are not directly involved in a fraud.
But still,
They
you're
are using the information.
Confidential information.
That's what insider trading is. Right? It's illegal. You cannot do that. Right? So you should not be using information for any personal gains. Let's say you decide you are the auditor of Blinkit. Okay, you're auditing Blinkit, and you come to know of highly sensitive information. Zepto comes to you and say, "I'll give you $1 million. Give me that sensitive information." What will you do?
As an auditor, we cannot.
तो क्या
We
करें
cannot
फिर?
accept.
मना कर दोगे $1 million पता कितने होते हैं?
Yeah, as an auditor, we cannot.
You cannot.
As an
Right? Good.
But Ayush,
Hmm.
sorry, these though these are basics, but yes, they tend to there are some doubts which arise. In the same example which you are quoting, I am auditing Blanket. I have in critical confidential information about Blanket. But now Swiggy comes and asks me for not for a opinion, but for a concept like help me with the best market practices. Then how should I be tackling that situation?
You will not be able to do that.
I'll have to deny on that particular assignment of Swiggy, correct?
Somebody else from your company will be able to do it, not you. Right?
Got
So
it.
see, what happens is, I don't know if you are having an experience of Big Four or not. Generally what has happened, the audit clients are categorized as level 1 clients, the tier 1 clients. And if it is a tier 1 client, we won't be able to provide any other service, right? Unless, a very approval is given. But yes, tier 1 clients, no work, and not any other work app altogether.
Except for assurance.
That's what makes it a tier 1 client. Right?
Okay.
You're acting as auditors.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. Organizations usually issue information security policies to protect the data they acquire, use, and produce to ensure compliance with the laws and regulations that pertain to the industry and jurisdiction within which they operate. To better understand the impact of legal and regulatory requirements and protections, the CAE should consult with legal counsel. The rule of conduct emphasizes that internal auditors must not use any information for personal gains. An example of conformance with confidentiality is the CAE demonstrating support of internal audit confidentiality through evidence of policies, processes, procedures, and training materials implemented to cover confidentiality as it applies to internal audit activity and the organization. Just forget about it. Just remember that you cannot use any information for your personal benefits. All right. Which of the following constitutes a violation of the code of ethics by an internal auditor? Read this and tell me which of the following is a violation.
Yeah, it's D.
D.
B,
B.
option B, purchasing stock in a target.
B. Purchasing stock in a target entity after overhearing an executive discussion of possible acquisition. What is the problem?
Using the information
Using
using
the
the information
information,
for
Using
personal
the
gain,
information. Yeah.
for personal gain.
fair, fair. Why not A? Why A is okay?
Discussing at a trade convention organization. It's okay.
Why A is fine? Discussing at a trade convention the organization's control over its computer networks.
Because it's
Though,
internal only,
yeah,
not
though it is
in
not
the
like
inside the
ethical,
company.
but still it is violating. Like, not to
Even
that.
C is violating, wherein senior management is asking me to delete.
Wait, अरे रुक तो जाओ.
हाँ,
A तो बताओ पहले.
there
A,
might be a
why A is
possibility
fine?
as
It
far as
will not impact that much
You are
compared to
not
B.
disclosing any confidential
We
information,
are
right?
Yeah.
we are just
and I'm not naming any organization.
This is the
Yeah.
It
controls
may
only.
Yeah, it's
This is the
just telling
controls.
about controls, right?
Yeah,
There was
not
a
the confidential
company,
data.
if I say my client is doing this for their computer networks, right? Is it a violation? It is not a violation. Purchasing stock, you said it's a violation, fair. Deleting sensitive information from a final engagement communication at the request of senior management. Now, yes, it's debatable, but deleting sensitive information from final engagement communication, it might happen that the information is very, very sensitive, right? And it's fine. I judge that it is absolutely fine. There are mitigators involved, everything is okay. I might consider deleting that information in the light of it being very, very highly sensitive. But yes, I again said it is debatable. If B would not have been there, then C would have been our answer. Okay. Investigating executive expense reports based completely on rumors of padding. Now, what is this? Why is this okay? Because that's you being skeptical. And that's you being careful. Okay. Competency. See, competency is very simple. It says you shall engage only in those services for which you have the necessary knowledge, skills, and experience. You shall perform internal audit services in accordance with the standards, and you shall continually improve the proficiency and effectiveness and quality of your services. That's competency. Now, although we'll do this in the next module, but tell me, if your team does not have any knowledge of IT audit, can you still accept the IT audit engagement?
No, we will hire
No.
someone.
No, we have to
You
look for like consultant.
can accept, provided you bring an external person on board, right? You hire an expert. Very good. So all in all, before starting the engagement, this is an exam question that I'm asking, guys. Before starting the procedures, before starting the engagement, you should be having that competency. There was a question that, okay, on April, let's say you accepted the engagement. On October, you started the engagement. Then before what you need to have the competency?
For
Before
October.
starting the engagement. All right.
I have one question.
Yes, please.
See, if I'm a CAE and I don't have that knowledge, but I'm I'm hiring a person who is having the experience. If he come and reports, I should have knowledge about it, to guide him or to correct whatever he is doing. But here I am depending on one person. But here the objective is, totally, is group level competency is missing and only an individual possesses own knowledge. So how do we go with this? See,
See, we'll answer. Hold on to this question. We'll answer this question in the next module.
Oh, okay, fine.
Just note it down. Hold on to that question. It'll get clear.
Yeah.
Ayush, I have a question. So when we are outsourcing, like a third party to do that IT audit, so are we bound to disclose it to the client that, that a third party is being specifically sourced in to,
Yeah, obviously.
okay.
So Ayush,
All right.
just to update my notes, I think I missed out on it because of some network issue. So what you meant to say was that I can accept an assignment in January, but when I start on that particular assignment in October, I should have the competency as of October. It's not necessary to have it on 1st of Jan.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Suppose if I
Okay.
accept that, if I accept in that case, and somehow due to the budget constraints, the management is not allowing to require a specialized person over it. How do we go with that? If after accepting the engagement, you cannot able to
No, so
perform.
when you accepted, you would have factored this that you will have to pay to the external person also, right? When you know that the information you do not have, right? So, and you knew at that time of acceptance also that you will have to outsource that. You need to factor that cost also in your decision,
Okay.
right? So, it will not happen that once you accept and then after it, the budget will exceed. That will not happen, right? You knew before accepting also that you don't have the capacity. You will have to hire someone for this, and you knew of the budgets also. Right. So if it is if it is exceeding the budget, you deny the engagement altogether or hire someone else with a cheaper resource.
Yeah, fine, makes sense.
Yeah.
But Ayush, if I
Ayush,
do not have an understanding or competency about some audit of around information security, and I go ahead and taking that accepting that assignment without any knowledge, and then even if I try hiring getting a competent resource on board, the person might come back saying whatever you have agreed upon may not be a feasible thing to be done itself. Leave aside the budget.
Hold on to this question, guys. Hold on to this question. Next module we'll discuss all this. Don't worry. It will be there.
Ayush, I have a doubt.
Yeah.
Just a doubt to clear. What about the fraud examination? It is under our CAA, or we have to hire
Hold on to
somebody
this.
for
There is a separate module on fraud. Don't
Okay.
worry. We'll discuss all of your questions, but just let's restrict to what is there in the study material 1, right? All of these questions will be answered as we progress into the next modules, right? Don't worry. Hold on to this. क्योंकि अभी क्या होगा if I tell you right now, a lot of things will start coming into the picture, right? And then we'll deviate from study unit 1. Okay? So don't worry. Try this question.
option B.
B.
An organization has recently placed a former operating manager in the position of chief audit executive. The new CAE is not a member of the IIA and is not a CIA. Henceforth, the internal audit activity will run strictly by the CAE standards, not the IIAs. All 4 staff internal auditors are members of the IIA, but they are not CIAs. According to the Code of Ethics, what is the best course of action for the staff internal auditors?
They should
Yes,
complete
please.
the standards.
Should comply?
Yeah, even if they are
Definitely, right?
not
We
member
read
or
that.
not.
Right? We read that it's applicable for everyone. Good. Last topic for this module. Internal Audit Charter, one of the most important document for internal audit. What is a charter, guys?
Means how the internal audit team work, what is the values or
It is the overall
regarding the team,
scope,
regarding the
authority, and
team.
responsibility of an auditor.
Charter is the one which gives powers to the audit team.
Okay. Anyone else?
It is the overall scope, authority, and responsibility of an internal auditor.
It has everything. The scope,
Yeah.
resources, your authority, your responsibilities, everything. It's the one of the most important document, nature, scope of your engagement. It will have everything, right? And
Sure.
this document will need to be approved by the board. All right. Uh, the internal audit charter is a formal document that defines the internal audit activities, purpose, authority, and responsibility. The internal audit charter establishes the internal audit activities positioned within the organization, including the nature of the functional reporting relationship with the board, access to records, personal and physical properties, and defines the scope of internal audit activity. Basically, whatever you can do in the company, whatever authorities you have, whatever resources you can take, everything needs to be mentioned in the charter. All right. So the final approval of the charter resides with the board. Every year, the board has to have this approval of the charter. Okay. Now, this we have done. We'll go to the attribute standards, or I'll just tell you the important pointers over here.
Sir, this charter format will vary company to company, or it is same?
It's
Audit
very.
charter.
I'll show you a sample one. Wait.
Oh.
The chief executive must periodically review the internal audit charter and present it to the senior management and the board for approval.
Sorry, one question.
Yeah.
Present to senior management is required or what? Senior management is
Now,
no.
whenever you see the word senior management in audit throughout your journey of CIA, this is not a senior manager designation in your respective companies, right? So by senior management, we mean the C-suite, the CEO, right?
That's
And
what
the
I'm
board,
asking.
Audit
That's the same
and the
committee.
board
question.
is
See, we
above.
are not, functionally reporting to board of directors and administratively to CEO. In that
Yeah.
case, audit charters need not to go and disclose to, we need not to share this with the senior management. It has to be approved by the board of approval, is my understanding.
The
altogether.
approval is to be given by the board of directors, but
Yeah.
there is nothing that stops you from presenting it to senior management.
Oh, presenting, okay.
Means the audit committee, right? Maybe the CEO
Not
part of the audit
approvals.
committee.
Okay, fine. I'm
Approval
sorry.
is given by the board.
No, yeah, it's
Definitely.
present. Okay, fine.
Is it right?
Yeah.
Maybe the reason is maybe the budgets are involved and senior management, maybe the person who
A
can
lot of things are involved, right? It's not that senior management
budget
is the villain at
resources.
all
Yeah,
times,
budget resources.
right? The CEO has to be involved in the decision-making process.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Again, regarding consulting, also the nature of consulting must be defined in the charter. Everything that you can do, is it assurance, it's consulting, nature, scope, responsibilities, authorities, everything has to be there in the charter. Right? What is CAE? Who is a CAE? Who is a board? I'm not getting into that. Right? Just all this already. All right. We'll try this one. A charter is one of the more important factors positively affecting the internal audit activity's independence. Which of the following is least likely to be a part of the charter? Least likely to be a part of the charter.
Length of tenure, chief audit. C.
Everybody agrees it's C? The length of tenure of the CA? Again, that will not be a part of the charter. Access to records definitely will be there. Scope, yes. Whatever access to personal, yes, but length of the tenure is not a part of the charter. Wonderful, guys. That completes your study unit 1. How did you feel? Easy? Found it
Yes.
easy?
As of
Manageable?
now,
Yes, sir.
as of now, we'll have to look at the questions. They seem to be slightly
Questions? Yeah. So
with the options, not only the questions. There are the options are where the trick is seems to be.
right, right. Uh, before we start doing some questions, let me just show you a charter. Can you see this?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
the
sir.
charter of Tata Chemicals, right? See, what is the mission of Internal Audit Department? And you'll see a lot of things that you've already done to provide independent, objective assurance and consulting services designed to add value and improve, right? That's what you read, right? So internal audit will help management achieve its business targets, right? Through all these things. Now, what will be the scope of the work? Sorry. Whatever you are to do, right? Risks are appropriately identified, interactions are there as needed. All these things, I'm just not reading each and every line, right? So that's the scope of the work. Who all will be the team? Audit team would comprise of these people. Accountability, right? Independence considerations, the responsibilities regarding the internal controls, regarding the policies, regarding the risk management, regarding the reporting, what are the best practices and benchmarking, leadership development, how will you have authority over what will you have authority? You see, you are authorized to have unrestricted access to all functions, full and free access to the audit committee, right? So whatever things you can get and the standards. All members will adhere to the code of ethics and the standards, right? So that's the charter, basically a very comprehensive document of what can you do, what responsibilities do you have, what authorities do you have, approved by the board of directors. All right. Okay. Can we do some questions today? Do you feel it's too much for a day,
No, sir, we
or
can
is it okay if we do some questions?
Yes, yes.
we can do.
Let's do 10 questions just to give you a glimpse of how the things are.
Ayush, I have a query regarding the
And
MCQs.
just give me a second, my friend.
Yeah.
Logging in. Guys, it's absolutely fine if you do not have access to this Gleim software. It's absolutely fine. You have these questions there in Auditas as well. Okay. So no problem. I will also be sharing these questions as a question bank, so don't worry. So let's see. We've done these foundations of internal auditing, 139 questions. Let's do 10 questions, okay? This will just give you a glimpse of what you're likely to see. But before that, just allow me a second, guys. I'll just be back. Okay, let's go, guys. Okay. Let me open the chat box. Give me a second, guys. Let me just open the chat box. All right, so whatever you feel is the correct answer, you need to type in the chat box, guys, so that everybody is able to read for while without getting disturbed. Okay. Which of the following most likely constitutes a violation of code of ethics? Please read the options and let me know the answers. Take your time. Okay. I'll wait for everyone to answer. Okay. Everybody feels it's B? Absolutely. You all are right, guys. What is the problem with B? Can somebody please tell me that?
Competency.
What about competency?
Auditor B doesn't have competency for the.
Yeah, so you're not continuing upgrading yourself?
Yeah.
Right? And competency says that you have to do it. Okay. An internal auditor, nearly finished with an engagement, discovers that the director of marketing has a gambling habit. The gambling issue is not directly related to the existing engagement, and the internal auditor is under pressure to complete it quickly. The internal auditor notes the problem and passes the information on to the Chief Audit Executive, but does no further follow-up. The internal auditor's action, we're talking about this internal auditor, not the CAE. The internal auditor's actions are in violation or not in violation? Okay, that was quick, Satya. Everybody feels it's not in violation? You are absolutely right. Why not in violation?
Because the statement says that it is not, this gambling habit is not directly related to any of the existing engagements.
Also because
but the auditor has reported it to the CAE in the same instance that yes, there is some anomaly, but whether needs to be actioned upon or not is then the understanding of CAE to pursue it further.
Wonderful. You are absolutely right. Right. So, as an internal, we're talking about internal auditor. The person found out the problem. The person has reported it. The person has done everything that was in your capacity as the internal auditor. Right. So your action as internal auditor is fine. Now, why no further follow-up? What did CAE do? इसने क्या किया, उसने क्या किया. That's a separate question altogether. Now, when we are answering a question in the exam, we will be restricting ourselves to what the question says. All right. So one of the hack from my end is restrict yourselves into the scenario. It's very easy in audit to deviate from the situation, right? So just
Yeah.
restrict in the scenario. Out of the 4 options, which one do you think fits the scenario?
Okay. What if the question is asked if the CA in this case, what will be the answer for it?
Again, I told you, what if scenarios will be handled with a separate
No, I'm asking
information
a query.
altogether?
Just I'm asking,
Yeah,
my
so
doubt.
if it's a CA, if it's the CAE, the question will have to tell you something else also. Right? This question is not sufficient to give you an answer about the CAE.
Okay,
Right?
fine.
If you say that CAE did nothing, of course you are in violation. Right? You came to know of an information which is a significant information, and you should be at least seeing that, okay, if anything is hampered from this from this engagement or not.
It also says it not directly related to the
Fair,
existing engagement, that is the
fair,
word
but
catch.
gambling habit might impact a lot of things. It might impact culture in the company. It might impact governance in the company. It might impact a lot of things in the company. Right?
Very
So as
true.
a CAE, this information is not sufficient for you to give an answer.
Okay.
Which of the following statements is not appropriate to include in the manufacturer's conflict of interest policy? Okay, that was quick. Okay. Interesting. You want to go with D? What is the problem? Why not? Why not, guys? How did you select this option?
The other 3
More of an
are not
elimination
enough.
rather than
More of an elimination approach, which is
Yeah,
fair, which
more
is
of
fair, which is absolutely
because
good.
we are getting benefit out.
See,
So
also
research science.
public service, nobody can curb the public service, right?
It's also inappropriate.
It's inappropriate, yes. Which of the following violates the confidentiality principles? Very apparent answer. Okay, all of you want to go with A, releasing information
A.
externally without review? Very good. Good. Which of the following is not appropriate for inclusion in internal audit charter?
Not
Not appropriate.
B. I think it's B.
A lot of you want to go with B.
Option A. Authorization of the board.
Option A, yes. Why?
It's not there because the nature.
You don't have to
Second
mention this in
opinion.
the charter. It is to be approved by the board,
Mm.
right? The nature
Yeah.
that, okay, it's a functional relationship with the board, yes, it will be there. Scope will be there. What is functional relation? That's the part of the next module. Don't worry about it. Authorizations would be there, definitely. So this board doesn't need this power to be a written power somewhere. It's inherent. It's there with the board.
It's already there.
It's already there. The rules of conduct set forth in the code of ethics does what? Very easy. Think about it. Rules of conduct. Describe the behavior norms. Good.
Yes. A.
Why not B?
Guideline to assist. Not.
That's not rules of conduct, right? Not only with the engagement class, to everyone that you are dealing with. Are not interpreted by the principles, but they are aid in interpreting the principles as it correctly mentioned. Good. So behavior norms. In complying with the code of ethics, an internal auditor should do what? Okay. In complying with the code of ethics, an internal auditor should primarily apply the competency principle in establishing trust, go beyond the limitation of personal technical skills to advance the interest of the organization, use individual judgment in the application of principles set forth in the code, and respect and contribute to the objective of the organization, even if it is engaged in illegal activities. So a lot of you wants to, majority of you are saying C, which is right. You use individual judgment in the application of principles, right? Well, what is the problem with A?
The establishment of trust is with integrity.
Integrity. And what about B?
I misread it in the option per se. So it's breaching the competency principle.
You will only be taking those activities for which you have the knowledge, right? Okay. And this okay, in illegal activities, you know that's not right. Okay, wonderful. An auditor who observes the law and makes disclosures expected by the law is following which principle? You yourself should follow the law and make disclosures expected by the law. Is an example of integrity principle. Good. All right. A new staff internal auditor was told to perform an engagement in an area with which the internal auditor was not familiar. Because of time constraints, no supervision was provided. The assignment represented a good learning experience, but the area was clearly beyond the internal auditor's competence. Nonetheless, the internal auditor prepared comprehensive working papers and communicated the results to the management. In this situation, pick up the right answer, please. Pick up the most appropriate answer. The CAE has violated the ethics because it does not address supervision. The internal audit activity violated the standards by not providing adequate supervision. The internal audit activity violating the stand by hiring an internal auditor without proficiency in the area. The standards and the code of ethics were followed by the internal audit activity. So the guys who are saying C, so that means you should not be hired without having a particular knowledge in an area. So the next time you go to KPMG for interview or in a company for interview, you should be having an expert level knowledge for the area. Then only you'll be hired. Is that what you're saying?
No, shouldn't be.
No,
बंदे को train कर दो तब भी चलेगा?
No, we will be under supervision and we will trained, then we can.
You failed to exercise supervision. Good. In applying the rules of conduct set forth in the ethics, internal auditors are expected to all of you want to go with D. Correct. It's straightforward, right? Not be unduly influenced by your own interest. Wonderful, guys. Can you see this? 90%. You guys are nailing this module. Confident? Better confident now?
Yes.
Good. You need a score of 80% to pass in CIA exam. All right, keep that thing in mind. Wonderful, guys. How did it go? To the guys who are new to this, new to internal auditing, are you able to understand?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're able to understand? Good. To the guys who are experienced enough, going back to the basics?
I agree.
Good.
Yes,
Overall,
Ayush.
guys, I hope you are in a better position. I hope you are comfortable in at least study unit 1. Part 1 is very simple, right? So in the next module is a continuation of this module. All right, we'll also be talking about ethics over there, but now here we did it from an individual auditor perspective. In the next module, we'll bring the entire department as a whole. All right, we'll talk about independence more, your reporting relationships more, and certain other things. So that is it for the day, guys. In the next session, which will be on Saturday now, we will be taking up the study unit 2, also study unit 3, and we'll be doing the questions as well. We'll see how much we can do. All right. I'll see you in the next class, guys. Thank you so much for joining in. Arun, please create that WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
All
And
right,
I
as in
have
when you get time, so that
requested.
I'll start sharing the question bank and these materials on the WhatsApp group itself starting
Yeah,
today.
I have request to all the friends over here to send an individual message to me. I have already given my number in the chat box. So just
Wonderful.
send me a message so that I can be able to easily add your numbers over there.
Anybody in
And
Saudi?
one small, yeah, I'm in the Saudi.
You're in Saudi, Arun?
Yeah.
I will be in Saudi from 8th of March. I'll be in Riyadh. On
You're
a
in
project.
Riyadh. Oh, okay, I'm in Kobar.
Okay.
Almost
Okay.
500
Fair.
kilometers away from
Fair.
here.
500, my God. Don't even think about it. Okay.
All right.
Fair, guys. All right, everybody, please message Arun your numbers so
And
that
I
he is
Can I
able to
have
create.
your contact number once?
Yeah, I put in the chat box. Again, I'm mentioning, for a recent, look into 058-049-5269.
Ayush,
And I
yeah.
recommend, only small question, small recommendation only, please consider. See, we will restrict our group only to, have subject related queries, not administrative, like kind of stuff, Normally in the VGLD, we'll have a lot of administrative related question like,
Yeah. So in the WhatsApp groups, it's only related to
studies. Please restrict ourselves. This is my
part one
request.
only.
Yeah. Especially for the part
Ayush,
one. Yeah.
Ayush, what I feel when we done the questions, maybe the first starting now, feel like your questions are very tricky. So we need to do more questions.
Yeah. I'll be
So
sharing a
we'll get.
I'm
comprehensive
sorry.
question bank with you. Don't worry.
Okay.
966 type error. Kindly excuse me.
Ayush, the next lecture is on 15th.
The next lecture is on. Let me.
Because the schedule which they have given is 15th, I think. So next week is not there.
Let me see. Second.
Mr. Arun, you don't have WhatsApp, I think.
No, I'm in the WhatsApp. I am given the recent number, and I am sorry. And the initial number what I given is wrong. I'm put the another number over there, please.
Yeah. So
I
next
already messaged,
session
brother.
is on 15th. 15th. Why not 9th? Mm, 15th. All right, guys. Your next session is on 15th with me. I'll check if a session can be scheduled on 9th. But as of now, it's 15. Okay? You'll get an information about 9th.
Ayush, I have a request.
Yeah.
Our classes are happening at 5:30 here in UAE. The
For
problem
me,
is
it's 4:30.
5:30. Not because of 4:30, 5:30 for me. It is the exact time of my prayer. Exact time, 5:30. Just 5-10 minutes. I think I believe there will be some discussions on this 5-10 minutes. I will finish prayer and quickly I will come back. Is it
It's
possible?
okay. Take your
Because
time.
I will
Take your
miss.
time. All these, take your time. Don't take your time with the prayer. The sessions are recorded. All right. Even if you miss 5 minutes of a discussion, see, any which ways people take 5 to 7 minutes for joining, right? So what you will miss is effectively, 7 to 8 minutes, whatever, right? So generally in that 7 to 8 minutes, we do a recap of the previous class, right? So so that leaves you with only 1 or 2 or 3 minutes that you'll miss. But these sessions are recorded. You have access to these recordings. So even if you miss something, it's there with you.
And these recorded classes will be in our
It will be
VGLD.
available on the VGLD portal, I think. Yeah. All right.
Right.
I
Another
think,
request, another
yeah.
request. Let us, be only with those who are participating in this class. Please, send a message. Don't, share with your friends and other stuff. This is, another request. So,
I don't.
the
Please,
VGL,
guys,
please,
please.
yeah. This is very
We
important
will
message.
restrict this WhatsApp group to this batch.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
That's, small
Not
request.
XYZ. Anyone, please.
Yeah,
And
please,
I would request my notes, my questions, I trust you that you will not be floating it on every channel possible. Please don't do that. It's for you. It's hard work put behind these things. Keep it with you. Okay.
I don't that 95269, that same number, right?
Yeah, 05,
952.
I mean 966
Arun,
58.
I'm not able to find that on WhatsApp for some reason. I don't
Put the
know.
code. That is why I find
Nine,
out.
yeah, 966 is the code, international code. You have to make it.
Mm.
000
Ayush, I have a
966.
question.
Sujit, Sujit, you guys, you are using iPhones?
Yes, I am using an
Yeah.
iPhone.
So once you save a contact now, just close the
क्या हाल
WhatsApp
है
app
Okay.
and open it again. So
Okay,
once you
sure.
open it again, it will
क्या बोल रहे
refresh and this will be visible.
Perfect. Okay, I'll try that out.
Ayush, how I can get access of Audit AS software to practice questions anytime?
You might have received a LMS login from VGLD team, right?
Yeah,
Have you? Yeah. So
yeah,
once you log in, it will be there on the left side.
totally fine.
Just see if it is not there, contact the team.
Sure.
All right. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next session. Have a wonderful week ahead, guys.
Thank
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 you.
you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ayush. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.